And let's see if we are in fact live. And we are live. So here we go. Welcome, one and all, to the MIRTH Web Show. My name is David Batterina, and for the next hour, I will be your host through the mayhem and insanity of exploring all things creativity. This show exists to help you, the creator, connect with fans, friends, and peers by showcasing not just your work, but your brain, your creative process, and your personality. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell. Typically stream Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Let's go. Jesse's already here. So over the next hour, you're supposed to say first. You got to say first. Say first. Jesse, say first. You got it. Over the next hour, expect some deep conversation, lighthearted fun, and prying open the creative brains of my two very, very special guests. I've got Jacob and Heather right here, the Holo writing duo. Greetings.
Hello.
And I'm gonna get set up and bounce the chat in here too, so we can just kind of hang out with the good people. Jesse says hi.
Oh, and Jesse, hey.
Yeah, there we go. We've got a Becky. We had a Yo, and then a first. I'm not really sure who's first now. No, you're first. It's fine. So greetings, you two, and thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You and I connected on your channel a while back. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember when that was, to be honest.
I don't either. What even is time?
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's just a while back, but I'm super happy, and I wanted to have you both on because there's a ton of stuff that I want to ask you just about the tandem writing, about you individually, and just how you go about things. But also, we just want to have a good time, and so that's why we're here. And we've got great, my great friends are coming in. Woohoo! Holos and David Phillip. Greetings, sir.
Oh, hey, Phillip.
Grimfell, good to see you, my man. All the way from the UK. And, Becky, yeah, Awen. Okay, greetings. Oh, got some Lord of the Rings stuff going on tonight, too. So you're going to want to watch that.
There are people with very good taste in the chat already.
There we go. I try to curate an audience that, well, never mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is I ask questions. I give you, the floor is yours for all sorts of stuff. But the first thing I like to do is just throw out some this or that questions. And it's just our quick way over the course of a minute or so to get to know you, just with some silly choices, essentially. And you guys can just bounce back and forth, as you go or whatever else. The first one I want to ask does not count against the time. It's the one that I ask everybody. You all know what's coming, right? Which is, if you were forced to travel in either a homemade hot air balloon way up in the sky or a janky submarine way down in the deep, which one would you choose?
Hot air balloon, because I'm afraid of heights, but that definitely sounds more like falling. Definitely sounds more fun than being squished by deep seas.
Yeah, I would have to go with the hot air balloon, because I think death would be swifter, more immediate than drowning.
In the ocean you are.
Yeah, okay, so here's my qualification for this, right? I figured if I'm way up there, I get to terminal velocity and then it's like whammo, and I see that coming, and I really don't like that scenario. But way down, 5 milliseconds, it's over, which is faster than your brain can comprehend. So I'm like, well, and at least I get to see maybe a giant squid. So I figured it's the best of the bunch. But really, this is just my effort to try and convince people, because there's only 3 of us that have ever chosen this stupid submarine. Crew. It's Grimfell on the remote on the PlayStation remote, trying to drive us around, and then it's just the rest of us getting squished. But you know what? I respect your choice. It's fine. It's totally good. Team Balloon. I'm gonna do up t-shirts. I'm gonna have Team Homemade Hot Air Balloon and Team Janky Submarine. So let's do this. Let's get through some this or that questions, right? And Jacob, I'll have you go first, and you guys just bounce back and forth, right? We'll go for about a minute or so, and real easy. Just pick whichever one comes into mind first. So Jacob, superheroes or supervillains?
Supervillains.
Lovely. And then let's go zombie apocalypse or robot overlords?
Oh, that's me?
Yep.
Robot overlords.
Overlords.
Terrifying, but they're robots. So.
Okay. Read the book or watch the movie?
Read the book.
Gotcha. Flying cars or underwater city?
Oh, flying cars.
Now, look, I didn't alter the order of these. They're in an order. This is the one you got, Jacob. It's Christina or Brittany.
What?
Okay, Jacob does not understand any pop culture references. Christina Aguilera or Britney Spears.
So pass. We can just pass.
Pass. Pass.
It's fine.
Emergency pass.
All right.
The
So
correct
we'll go.
answer is Britney Spears, Jacob.
That is the correct answer, indeed. All right. So let's go virtual reality or augmented reality.
Ooh, virtual reality, I think. No, you know what? Augmented reality, because I get sick when I play virtual reality stuff.
Yeah. So you do the glasses and be creepy on the train, knowing who everybody is and all that stuff. I like
Am
it.
I supposed to be giving explanations or just answering fast? I forgot already.
That's fine. Yes. The answer is yes. Let's go fantasy or sci-fi. That's better.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi it is. Super strength or super genius?
Super genius.
Ooh. Ghosts or aliens?
Aliens.
Dinosaurs or dragons?
Oh, that's a
No.
That is one of the toughest questions of my life. I'm gonna have to go with dragons, though. Like
Fire-breathing velocirapters.
super close. Yeah.
That would be good. Jacob, how about this one? We'll go Lord of the Rings. Maggoty bread or man flesh?
Oh, jeez. Man flesh.
There we go. And another one, dwarves or elves?
Dwarves. They seem cooler to hang out with.
All right. Some weird personal questions. Sleep in socks or sleep barefoot?
Barefoot.
Barefoot it is. And the last one, pineapple pizza or no pizza at all?
Oh, pineapple pizza.
See, there's nothing
You
wrong.
gotta put barbecue sauce and mozzarella cheese on it, Jacob. Like there's technique. You can't use just straight up like marinara sauce on it.
Pineapples are just an affront to all pizzas. I'm sorry.
We are
amazing.
We are less than 10 minutes in, and I am getting exactly the dynamic I'd hoped for on this stream.
I am making you a pineapple pizza this week. You're gonna have my version of pineapple pizza, and we're gonna have to make a video about it.
David, this is all your fault.
It is all. I'm so sorry. We only just met. This is our last conversation, Jacob. I apologize. Yeah, we're gonna need some bigger balloons on all this stuff. No, I think some people in the chat are gonna be hungry, and some are gonna be like, "Hey, that's gross. It's fruit. It's warm fruit on cheese." But here you go. What is this? Ultranoth would be terribly disappointed with you if you went with dinosaurs.
Ultranoth is a librarian dragon archivist from one of my series.
Gosh, okay. There you go. So there's our quick get to know you and get to see the dynamic in action right there. The next thing I want to do is give you guys the floor for, take about 30 seconds, a minute, whatever. And just let everybody know, because content is evergreen. Somebody may be watching this months from now, who knows? So just let everybody know where we can find you, kind of what you do, what you're working on, that sort of stuff. Whatever you want to do. If you want to do interpretive dance, Brittany impression, that's totally cool too. So the floor is yours, and just introduce yourselves, I guess.
So I'm going to donate my 20 seconds to Heather because she does it better than me.
Again, I gotta actually come up with a pitch for both of us now. He did this at a con, like last.
Okay, nailed it.
All right, well, I'm gonna
do the same thing
first because I'm the one talking. So I write fun fantasy adventure as HP Holo and fun fantasy adventure with smut in it as Edie Sky. So my current projects, well, as HP Holo, my last project was the Monster Punk Horizon series, which is currently complete. And as HP Holo and Edie Sky, yes, I co-wrote with myself. My current project is the sequel to Monster Girl Tamer, let's see, which is set in that universe, but is smutty. And so also under the Edie Sky name, there's the Blood Knight series, which I do not have right now in my mess of an office, but it's basically hot people hunting vampires. And as for, I guess I should probably talk about Jacob's stuff too. Jacob also writes books. So, all right. Oh, but no, really.
Wow.
Jacob's most recent release is Freelancers of Neptune from Bane Books, which you're going to have to hold up because I don't have it in my office. But it basically boils down to, or the way I like to pitch it is, if you were still mad that Firefly did not get a second season, and also that it didn't have Catgirls in it all that much, this is a series for you, because it is basically like spun, or what even are words right now? Fun space jalopy, space opera adventure with Catgirls and maybe a little bit of cosmic horror, but like just it's still fun. So
look, a dash of cosmic horror is fine in everything.
It's
That's
like
okay.
there's like a whole flesh planet. It's nasty.
Oh,
and
nice. All right.
Scary. But anyway, you can find us at holowriting.com and edysky.com, and on all of the socials, just look up Holo Writing or Edie Sky.
What's typically your like the social that you're on the most? Are you typically Facebook?
I'm typically Facebook. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Jacob, the closest he gets to being on Facebook is looking over my shoulder when I snort at a meme. So
smart man.
Yeah.
It's good. It's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, that there's nothing wrong with that. I tend to spend most of my time on X. And Facebook is like, it's the kind of where I treat it sort of like a public bathroom. Like I just kind of swing in the door, pee in there somewhere, and then leave.
See, that's how I treat it.
That's how you treat X.
I look like I'm on X, but really I'm just on later.com, my scheduling app.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you have messaged me on X and I have not responded to you, it's because I haven't actually been on there in 4 weeks.
No, that's good. I use Later as well. And it's great because you can go ahead and schedule to, like, I don't even have to install TikTok on anything. I can just post there and like never look at it. No, that's a good one. You know what? My fellow authors out there, for your marketing stuff, if you just want to treat marketing like you're opening a door and peeing somewhere inside, later.com is the way to do it. For sure. That's probably the plug that they never thought they'd get. That's okay. So there's a bunch that I want to cover with you both. And, you know, like you said, you checked out the pack and the whole thing. So you know what I do here. And the main focus is creativity, because I'm so interested in everybody's creative process, how it works. We're all very, very different as wordsmiths. And so it's really nice to just get an idea of how other people do everything beyond plotter or pantser, though I'm going to ask that eventually too. So the first thing I want to ask, and it's the first thing that I ask every guest, just to kind of get a baseline for you both and answer it individually, is when I say the phrase creative process, what does it mean and what does it look like for you?
So
go first, Jacob.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, creative process primarily, is for writing, though. That's how I think about it in terms of the formalized thing. Mm-hmm. I generally will start with kind of a basic kernel of an idea. And then from that, I'll build what I kind of think of as a plot skeleton. Okay. And then I will go over it and add meat to the skeleton and refine it. And eventually it typically gets to a point where I have created a scene by scene outline. And then I basically go through it bullet point by bullet point and write it. I joke, and it's kind of a half joke that I don't actually write novels. I design them and then I construct them.
I like it.
This, and that is half of a joke.
Yep.
Because the other half is the truth.
Yes.
That's good. I had a conversation. Gosh, it was a couple months ago now. I had Devin Erickson on, and it was really interesting because he was talking about how he went about it. And he's like, look, I may have an outline that's 20, 30, 40,000 words. And to me, that's just like, I can't even conceptualize what that would look like. Because like my outline, you ever see the movie Better Off Dead? You know Better Off Dead? No. Okay. Darn it. Gonna miss a reference. Okay. There's just a scene where they're asking him for his homework and everybody's pulling out these things. It's like dot matrix printer paper and giant binders and everything else. And he sits there and he takes a piece of paper out of his pocket. He unfolds it and there's just gum in it that says like, do your homework. And I'm like, well, that's kind of like my outline to a degree. Like I don't really get like too deep into that. But I respect it, man. Just building it from the ground up like that. Do you find that still allows you to like creatively kind of go off the rails if the character and story calls for it, or do you stick to it, stick to that structure,
Well,
like really tight?
Well, I try to a lot of that creative process that some authors experience in the actual writing, I'm experiencing as I'm outlining. So I'm
Gotcha.
trying to kind of work through those issues, and I never work through them all. I always hit some sort of road bump along the way, and
Normal.
when I hit it, I make adjustments.
Yep.
And it might be, I put a note in a previous scene that, hey, I have to make some sort of change, or I'll make changes to subsequent scenes in the outline, and then I just press forward. And once I've gone that first pass done, then I loop back to the beginning and I go through all my notes and I do like a big, long, thorough cleanup pass.
Excellent. Yep, Philip said, Heather shared the outlines Jacob's crafted. They're a thing of beauty. Offer the freedom to move around, but keep the goalposts in sight. I like it. And Heather, what about you? When I say creative process, what is it that pops into mind and what does it look like?
Mine eventually looks a lot like Jacob's in its somewhat finished form, but it begins in a much different state. Long story short, my creative process is ultimately informed by the fact that I have like 3 different types of OCD, and a lot of the symptoms overlap with ADHD. And so there's a lot of, whenever I first have an idea, I'll have it, and then my brain follows all the shinies about it. Like, what if Mary Poppins was a space pirate? What would that look like? What would her ship look like? What would this? And then at some point, I have to sit down and be like, okay, how do I take all of this craziness and actually organize it into a story someone wants to read? Because world building is my favorite thing. Yep. When I first started writing, I did not use outlines. I was very much a pantser. And as a result, a lot of my stories at that time ended up unpublishable messes that Jacob then had to wrangle into publishable form. Right. And so what I do now, I'm actually one of those lucky authors where characters tend to spring fully formed into my head. Like if I were not a writer, I would sound insane because I often describe them as literally just walking around and hanging out in the back of my head like actual people. And what I do is, for a little bit, before I start outlining and before I start considering what kind of plot I want to put them in, I just kind of let them wander around and watch what they do. And usually there's that meme where it says something to the effect of, I don't write characters so much as watch what they do and write up the incident report. My characters are all incident report producers. Gotcha. But once I have a solid concept, I have found that I work very well with specific formulas. And in my case, it's the action adventure fantasy formula. And basically I try to structure all of my stories so that they basically follow the same cadence as, say, The Mummy or Indiana Jones or anything in that sort of vein. I make my outline with, and Jacob and I collaborate a lot on the outlines, but ultimately the outline that results is a very, very bare bones one that only lays out what has to happen in each scene to make the story function. I don't include any characters or world building details in the outlines because for me, a lot of the fun of writing is discovering the story as it happens. But because of my OCD, because of my tendency to get distracted and whatnot, it's very easy for me to go off on tangents that end up being too long and don't actually add anything to the story. So having that skeletal plot outline, and usually it's a very linear, simple plot, gives me a direction to go in. Once the outline is determined, I do not change the essential outline. And when I sit down to write every day, I basically tell my characters, okay, this is what you have to accomplish today. I don't care how you do it, but this is what you got to do it, or this is what you got to do. And then I have little things that I do where I limit info dumps, say, to certain numbers of sentences or paragraphs or whatnot. And basically I include characterization and world building as the plot demands it. So it enables me to write a lot more efficiently. But ultimately, if I were to oversimplify it, it's characters running around my head and me just writing whatever hijinks they get up to.
Let me ask you an ADHD oriented question on that, just as a follow up, because this is something that I've seen with multiple people recently. In fact, in that it's that the idea that when you have a bunch to do and it's like a pile of things, ADHD brain often sees that as very overwhelming.
Oh yeah,
and so you procrastinate,
absolutely.
which tends to just make everything worse and pile up even more. So how do you feel like the outlining and just having that structure in those tasks helps you to push past the shiny thing
Oh, yeah.
stuff?
Absolutely. Structure. One thing I recently realized about myself is that my author persona is one of absolute fun chaos.
Yes.
And I realize that it's actually the author persona is actually an outlet for me because in order to function every day, I have to be very, very structured.
Mm.
And it's right down to really, really specific things. And for example, it takes a lot of effort for me to get focused to sit down to write. Once I am focused, I can do it all day. But
Right.
I have a very long, specific series of steps I have to go through to actually get myself focused enough to write. I'll do like a little 10-minute meditation. I have a little series of cheesy affirmations that I'll write, and then I look at my outline and I go bullet by bullet and write how I'm going to accomplish each of those bullets. And that usually takes me about 30 minutes to an hour. And then at that point, I get started writing.
Oh, wow.
And if I step off of that path, it throws me off, and I then have to restart it. And so it's and some of that is an OCD thing, but some of it is also I have to be organized kind of thing. But one trick that I use to get around the feeling of overwhelm on a daily basis, I have what I call the 20-minute rule, where I sit myself down and I say, okay, I may not be able to do this all day, but I can do it for 20 minutes. And so I'll set a timer and be like, okay, we're going to do chores for 20 minutes. We're going to clean for 20 minutes. We're going to read for 20 minutes. And very often I will find that I will trick myself into doing something for hours because I'll get to the end of the 20 minutes and I'll be like, you know what? I can read another chapter. And then I'll get to the end of the 20 minutes again. And it's like, yeah, I can read another chapter, or, oh, I've got 2 pages to go. And so it's, my life is a constant process of tricking myself into being
tricking yourself into being productive.
Yeah. Which is the tragic thing is that one of my they're the standard OCD obsessions, but one of mine is productivity, to the point where if I don't feel like I'm productive enough, then I get depressed about it.
Yeah.
Which does not interact well with the procrastination that results from feeling overwhelmed. So it's, oh my gosh, it's a trip.
It amplifies. So Jax is in the other room. That's my fiance. She's over there somewhere. And she's like, it's me. He just means me. She does tend to struggle with it. Literally same. Does tend to struggle with these things. But it's interesting. I've had conversations with a couple of fellow authors about this too. And just like how does that work when it's like you need dedicated time to put words down and all those things? And I guess part of it is you can actually get hyper focused and just ignore everything else and just be like zeroed in on that task as the hours go by. But let me ask you this. You gave a little bit about your process. So I'm going to ask both of you, are either of you are you morning writers typically, afternoon writers, evening writers? Is there a time of day? Do you consider yourself nocturnal, diurnal, crepuscular? In terms of the creativity and getting the words down?
For me, I generally like to start in the morning. I kind of think of my writing process as a train picking up steam. And once it has picked up that steam, it's much easier to maintain that momentum. And just, kind of dedicating the day to that particular kind of activity.
Gotcha. Yep.
One of the things that I have a lot of difficulty with is kind of switching mental streams. So I work as an engineer / programmer, and going from engineer mindset to author mindset say at the end of a workday, is very mentally taxing.
Yes.
So it's much easier for me to say, hey, this is going to be a writing day, and to dedicate that day to that. And it's like, hey, this is a, day job work day. So we're going to, work, dedicate it to that. I do find that I can switch from writing to the engineering mindset easier than the other way.
Interesting.
So if I can, wake up early enough, write a scene and then go to work, that generally works for me. Whereas the opposite is just it's more mentally taxing.
Yeah. My day job's a database administrator. And so it is like, it's coding heavy and all of those things. There's like, things are either right or wrong. They're either on or off. There's not really a lot of room for creativity. Like, you either just like screw it up or you do it, so I totally agree with that. It is really hard after a day of, in my case, I'm just sitting here throwing down like, hundreds of lines of SQL code and everything like that. And then just being able to be like, oh, okay, now I'm in space with a talking capybara. Like, it's just very difficult to make that switch. So I totally get it. I like the day and the morning, kind of as well. Do you have when it's a writing day, do you have a lead up? Do you do like, rereading your prior stuff first? You go over the outline for like 10, 15 minutes. Like, what's the actual, like, what does the process kind of look like when you're getting ready to put words down?
Generally, I just, I have a, after I've gone through like my regular morning routine, I will normally just relax to either maybe some music or just watch a few, dumb videos on YouTube, and just it's just more just getting relaxed, getting into the mood, and then I've got the outline open on one half of the screen. I've got the main body of the text open on the other, and got music playing in the background, and it's like, okay, here we go, bullet point one. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's go. Well, let me ask you this, because you brought up the music. What do you typically listen to while writing? And Heather, do you listen while you write?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. So so we know, Jacob, we know it's not Brittany or Christina.
Yeah. Generally, I'm listening to stuff that doesn't have any words.
Okay.
So sometimes it might be, say, movie or video game soundtracks.
Yep.
There have been a lot of stuff on, just keeps popping up in my YouTube feed of various, I guess, like cyberpunk themed, in like industrial synth music collections.
Oh,
and
neat. All right.
And I've been listening to a lot of those. And I think the reason why they started popping up is that a lot of these channels have started using AI, very provocative AI art, for their thumbnails. And okay, I have clicked, and then I like the music, and I just keep listening to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So it just as long as it's got a good beat and it's not really obtrusive to the writing process, and a lot of times if it's got like words in it, that can kind of pull me out of it.
Right.
So if it's in a foreign language, then words are generally okay.
Hey, listen, I have a whole stack of I have a whole playlist of foreign music for that very reason, because if they're singing in French, it doesn't even matter to me. I don't care what they're saying. I can just listen to it and it's fine. It's not like messing up my brain. If it's, if it's something in English and there's a lot of lyrics or everything like that. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, I love the Beastie Boys. I'll listen to the Beastie Boys in the car and all the time and every day. But if I put them on while I write, I'm going to start writing the lyrics in the middle of what I'm writing. I can't really do that. So first of all, it's a copyright issue. I've had some like, the type of music that I'm listening to has no correlation to like the scene that I'm writing. So it might be some I was going to ask,
really, sort of like sweet or comedic scene, and I'm listening to like the Doom Eternal soundtrack. Okay, like you know, the BFG Division is playing in the background, and it's like, you know, just sweet nothings between these two characters.
It's very romantic. Yeah, they should really do that in movies. 10 hours of Mongolian throat singing. Oh man, I don't know if I could do that. You know, or something like
that. It seems like I've read somewhere that one indicator of neurodivergence is being able to listen to the same song for like 4 hours straight.
Yes, 100%.
Have done that before. But yeah, in terms of my own, were you done, Jacob?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of my own playlists, I actually have several different ones. I have a playlist that I curate for every different project that I'm working on. I think of them effectively as original soundtracks, kind of. And so I have my opening theme. I have my chapter 1, chapter 2 music and character associated music. And that I listen to while I'm brainstorming and thinking and driving to my coffee shop. That's one of the ways that I use to sort of get my head in the right space to go write. Now, when I'm actually writing, like you guys, I can't have words in my writing. And I actually use, I just pick music on the Calm app, to be honest, because
no kidding. Okay.
A lot of it is like, I use the Calm app for various reasons, you know, meditation, sleep stories, etc. But a lot of the music on it is just really long, sort of relaxing, not monotonous, but just really, really good background music tracks meant to facilitate either relaxation or thinking. And they just, I found that when I listen to traditional albums, shall we say, where there are distinct song breaks, the song breaks will take me out of writing. And if that happens every 2 minutes, that becomes a problem. And it's minor, like it's small, but it adds up. But if I'm listening to an hour of trance music, that doesn't bother me when that repeats after an hour. Right. And so,
yeah, a lot of people do the soundtracks. You know, from everyone that I've talked to in all these episodes, the soundtracks is a big one. You know, and they'll throw them on. The thing about soundtracks, though, is sometimes you identify it so closely with whatever it's from, the movie or what have you. Like, I can't really listen to Lord of the Rings without seeing Lord of the Rings. You know, and true. It pulls me out of whatever it is. I tend to go towards like prog metal because the songs are typically like 12 minutes long. There's very limited lyrics. There's some changes to keep it interesting, and like there's different moods for each song. So like for that, like I can have a playlist where it just sort of it just kind of extends the time that I'm in it and listening. You know, and there's those channels that it's like 10 hours of like lo-fi chill out study music, or what have you. And it's great. Like it changes and everything, you know, it's not just the same thing over and over again. Yeah. I see again, you nailed the whole ADHD thing. 8 times in a row, just put it on repeat. And off we go. And eventually it's just like 9cat or something, like it just goes. Do that for studies, each course being a different soundtrack. Okay. I could see that. Yep. You know, like algebra would be like polka or something, like who knows. Well, let me ask you another creative one here too. Just kind of,
I didn't answer one of the earlier questions, the when do you write question.
Oh yeah.
And I actually, one thing, I have to begin by saying that I hate math, like normal people math, but one of the ways that I have weaponized my OCD for productivity is analyzing author math. And I one of the things that I have done, because I write in such a fast-paced genre, like a genre where readers expect books very quickly, is I've come up with ways to analyze what I can do to make myself write faster. Part of that was analyzing how I write on an hour-to-hour basis. And I have found that if I start, I'm definitely a morning writer. Okay. My first 3 hours, if I start early enough, I can fit, quote unquote, an entire day of writing into my first 3 hours of writing. And the next 2 hours after that, my productivity slows down, and then lunch hits, and everything after that is just kind of whatever productivity. But morning is just a magic time for me, because with my OCD, if I write right when I wake up before anything has a chance to get into my head, the writing flows a lot more cleanly.
That makes
And
sense. Yep.
it's when I actually sat down to analyze it, it astonished me how much of a difference it made. Because I can absolutely, like, my productivity in those first 3 hours is just incredible.
See, I love it because this is the whole reason that I wanted to structure the show around creativity. Because we often hear like, well, you can't be a writer if you don't do this every day, or if you don't do this, or if you do it this way or whatever else. But everybody's creative process is so vastly different. And so being able to hear, and it's particularly nice hearing people that have a good handle and knowing how they work and on their creative process. Because I have had people that I talk to that are just like, well, I just kind of try to write whenever.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that's just like, I can't, like, I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
You know, I get it when life is in the way and you have things to do, you've got to squeeze in 20 minutes of words here or there.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're forced to do it that way for sure.
The thing
But
about the write everyday rule for me is that it's not so much about literally writing every day as it is about disciplining yourself to write in whatever pattern you have to discipline yourself to write into. Because here's the thing, a lot of people say they want to write a book. They say they're going to sit down and one day I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
And they never actually sit down and do the thing. And writing a book, it's fun, but it's hard and it's work. And if you're actually going to write the book, you have to make time to write the book.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're on that schedule where where the genre itself expects you to crank them out. What is typically the expectation as far as that goes too? Like, what's the author math?
There are, well, in my genre, which I'd narrow down to harem fantasy adventure, there are authors who release a book a month. I cannot write that fast. I do a book every 3 months because that's the quality. Like that enables me to compromise between speed and quality. But in harem, the readers are so voracious that they will read as fast as you put out. And I have readers complain that my 3-month releases are too slow. So it's one of those genres. And I love that they're that voracious, but at the same time, it's like, I need to sleep occasionally.
For sure.
A toast.
Jacob, what about you for output or expectations? I mean, do you pretty much just like make your own deadlines on it, or is it different for the genres that you typically write in?
No. I have contractual obligations that I have to meet.
Yep.
So there's certainly that, and so I'm looking, ahead to when due dates are, and looking at my day work schedule and just sort of plotting a trajectory ahead. I mean, I spent a number of years as a project manager in the automotive industrial sector, so schedules and scheduling and workflow and whatnot, it's kind of second nature at this point.
It's not far into you. Yeah.
But no, I tend to look at the end goal, the due date, and the basic trajectory of the work, how much is being produced, and it's like, hey, do I need to increase the output in order to meet the goal, or it's like, hey, I'm actually ahead, maybe I can ease back and take a little bit of a breather, just those two factors, looking at the endpoint and looking at the rate of production,
right?
And those two kind of act as guides to how hard I need to push.
For the way you do your, okay, so I'm trying to get a handle on your process in terms of like the outlining, the way you said, build a skeleton, throw some meat at it, and then go from there. From start to finish, what would you say is like a comfortable timeline for you to feel like you've hit your stride creatively, everything worked, from the genesis of that idea to a finished product? What's like a reasonable time, like in your own head for it?
So if I'm dealing with something that I'm just sort of like building from scratch, I'd say, the entire concept phase is probably to the point where I have like an outline that I'm satisfied with, would be like a month.
Okay.
That can vary quite a bit with the type of work.
Sure.
So say if, dealing with, project in, a military sci-fi setting with, a lot of math involved in the combat system, and
Yep.
a lot of a lot of spreadsheets to keep track of, and
Oh,
whatnot.
right.
Well, there's going to be a bit more, upfront design work
Yeah.
that goes
Yeah.
into something like that. But let's just say, like, the average thing that I'm, doing on my own is about 1 month, and that will probably result in, some sort of tech Bible, and also an outline, and those outlines are generally 15,000 words long. That
Okay.
seems to be around where I land, and that 15,000 words will end up being somewhere around 100,000 word
Okay.
novel.
Yep.
And that novel, and a lot of it depends on how, um, how much the day job is acting as an energy drain.
For sure.
And there have been other mitigating factors recently with, health issues and whatnot. And I've had a bit of a 5-year journey with chronic nerve pain that I do not recommend anyone go on.
Yeah.
That I'm still just sort of, coming up out of. Those all those sorts of factors can affect it. But let's just say, setting that sort of stuff aside, 3 months to, before I have a first draft that's ready for Heather to have her first read of.
Right.
Generally.
Nice.
I can, if I'm like healthy and in tip-top shape, I can contract that by quite a bit.
Yep.
By basically, taking a lot of time off of work and doing a writing blitz.
Right.
I'm not in that state right now.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's generally where it is when I'm in when I don't have circumstances that are slowing me down.
Right, for sure. Well, let me ask you about just digging in a little bit more to some of your influences and some of the things that you enjoy writing, the most. Because, like, obviously, we all enjoy writing and like the process of writing, but there's always like a favorite. For you guys, do you just really dig into and enjoy the dialogue? Do you enjoy the descriptive stuff? Is it digging into the nitty gritty, science-y, type of stuff for you? Some of us are just all hand wavium, so like I don't understand. But which part of it, when you're sitting down to write and you're like, oh man, it's this scene and it's either dialogue heavy or description heavy or whatever else, what is it that you enjoy the most when you're ready to sit down and go?
For me, it's characters and dialogue, because characters are what people read for, and ultimately characters are what I write for. And the thing is, if you have the right characters in the right scene, you can make even the most mundane thing interesting just based upon how they interact with each other. And that's where I have the most fun as an author. If I don't have characters in mind, like when I sit down to write, then things just don't click. But immediately, like once I have, say, if I don't have a character in mind, if I have a particular, say, actor I want to imitate or base them around, or a particular a media character or whatnot, I can use that as a springboard and then go from there. But for me, it's absolutely characters. And since my genre, or at least my subset of readers in my genre, tend to enjoy really, really fast-paced, action-oriented stuff, I try to convey as much information through dialogue as I can, through natural dialogue as I can, because there comes a point where dialogue just feels like a conspicuous info dump. But I like finding ways to convey quote unquote info dump information in dialogue that sounds like an actual person would say it.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I just throw in the occasional penis joke and it breaks it all up and it's fine. Yeah. But no, I get that. For me, it's digging into dialogue. And it's funny you mentioned that, because if you think about a show like Seinfeld, right? Which is literally like the show about nothing. And it's just all character and dialogue and wildly entertaining. But like, what were even the shows about? Like, it just really wasn't about anything, but it was just so great to dig into, and everybody had their own like very unique, solid voice through all of it. But I do the same thing, visualize some different like actors or whatever else. Space Pew Pew 2, I got a character that's pretty much just based exclusively on Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. So like, and I love doing that because it's like, all right, I can get some inspiration. I can twist it a little bit, but like, it just gives me the starting canvas. Jacob, what about you?
So I'd say my favorite part is character banter. I do like making the reader chuckle. I do like fitting in lighter moments. One of the things that in a lot of the novels that I write, there tend to be high stakes. There's all sorts of like existential threats and whatnot.
Sure.
And I do like having those scenes where the characters can sort of let their hair down, and you get to see them in a calmer, more natural light rather than just the intensity of the rest of the novel. And it's sort of like exploring that those two sides of characters, how they act under pressure and how they act in a relaxed environment, and also having some fun and some laughs, sometimes with them, sometimes at their expense. But yeah, I'd say my favorite part is the character banter. Though I recently, with science fiction, I have really enjoyed trying to stick as close as possible to the laws of physics and seeing how far I push them in an entertaining way. With like, and I don't consider like what I write to be like hard sci-fi or anything like that. But if someone were to take a look at all the crazy stuff that happens in Freelancers of Neptune, of which there is a lot of crazy stuff, as far as I know, I don't break the laws of physics once in that book.
Oh, excellent.
Which is wild because that book is insane.
That's great. I mean, look, you push it as far as you can push it and go from there and see. But like that is really entertaining. I could see that. As a hand wavium guy, I can appreciate it, but I don't do it. But yeah, character banter is that's definitely my favorite to dig into. I just love it when I have their voices down. It's just so much fun. And Jake, kind of like you were saying too, those moments, like it can't just be all existential dread all the time. Those moments where you break the tension and there's some gags and they are relaxed and it's just something, even mundane jokes over a cup of something warm or whatever. That really helps when you then transition into the existential dread to really ramp it up. And you've got the characters, you've seen them in their natural state. Like it just does everything to make it more impactful, I think, all the way around. Sure. Quoth of Jacob zaniness, buddled authorities, the hell. There you go.
That's a quote from befuddled authorities.
Befuddled authorities. Yep.
So there's a scene in the Veltal file where it's a sci-fi police procedural.
Okay.
And so the two leads, they've shown up to the crime scene, and they're in swimwear because they have been diverted in an emergency, and the state trooper lieutenant who's on site, he's dealing with a belligerent, basically a foreign like special forces guy, and not letting the crime scene. There's all this stuff going on, and the main character just like cut right through all of that in flip flops and swim trunks, and the whole and he's just like it's going like the hell. And his last line is he's like walking away from the main characters. They just hear from down the hall. So yeah, that's the
kind of stuff, man. It breaks it all up. It's good. What about media influences? Because I want to get into our insufferable character championship soon. So the first thing, and I'll throw a bunch of them out there. Ones that I referenced for this too, which were Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, like all the good nerd stuff. Do you have things that are of particular interest to you that you find you draw inspiration from or influences your work?
Honestly, a lot of times I will draw inspiration from whatever I am reading or watching at the time. It's one of the reasons why whenever I'm deep in a project, I'm usually careful to watch something that is similar to what I'm writing. But in terms of general influences, I want to say the single biggest influence on my writing was Terry Pratchett.
Oh,
I
nice.
really, really love the way that he managed to take often complicated subjects and portray them through this hilarious fantasy universe. Like
Yes.
I will never be as astute and intelligent enough to write like Terry Pratchett, but I would like to.
Right.
I aim to achieve that. And
Right.
similarly for Douglas Adams. Douglas Adams is another big influence of
For
mine.
sure.
But also for me, like any mecha anime that I have ever seen, like if there is a giant robot in it, it has somehow influenced my writing.
That's great. Yep.
And anime in general, like the crazier the anime, the better. I effectively write just anime with words.
That's excellent. Jacob, what about you? Some influences?
So, where I guess the turning point where I started to look at writing as something that I might do long term rather than as a hobby. Where it started to transition was a trilogy of novels that I wrote called the Seraphim Revival, and so these are sci-fi mecha in space fighting hand to hand. Okay.
Okay.
It's not. But it was like the first time that I, did like sequels to an idea and I tried to, develop it and whatnot. And it was a sort of a transitional point for me in my personal growth as an author. So those were basically what happened was Gundam Wing, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I believe it's a PlayStation 1 game called Xenogears.
Okay.
They all just sort of had this party in my brain, and then this trilogy of novels came out. So I owe all those a lot.
Right. One of my favorites growing up was the Star Blazers. And so like space, what was it? Space Yamato?
Yamato.
I think so. Yeah, something along those lines. It was the Americanized version. My brother and I used to watch it just like it was like when that was on that we were just glued to the television. I don't remember any of it. I just remember the giant wave motion gun from the ship in space. And I'm like, this is, as a kid, you're like, this is the best thing ever. As an adult, I'm like, why would a ship look like that in space? But anyway, but yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, Jack's major Eva fan here, always trying to get me to watch it. I haven't. But
I'll get there. Had some Evangelion discussions in this house.
It's when I start talking about Pacific Rim and I tease her that like, it's not derivative of anything. She gets really mad at me when I say that.
Jacob has discovered that there are certain, like usually if I'm comfy, if I'm reading or if I'm in bed, I'm staying there, and it takes something tremendous to get me out of my little comfy space. But he discovered there are a few things that can get me out of my comfy space, and spontaneously playing this Pacific Rim theme is absolutely nice. I got to get out of bed to see what Pacific Rim is happening. And Jesse just mentioned League of Legends in the chat, and I'm actually really surprised I forgot that one because I have so many stories that have been inspired by how bad I got at certain elements in Arcane.
I had to put a just impose a limit. It's like, Heather, there's only so much League of Legends discussion I can take within a 24-hour period. Please just accept my tolerance level. I like it. I loved the first season. I thought the second season was okay.
I have some emotions about it. Of course, you know that, Jacob. But yeah.
Oh, yes, I do know that. Yes.
Arcane limit, and I reached it every morning by 7:30.
Oh, nice, nice. I've seen. Your Facebook is covered in posts about with all this stuff. I see all the banter.
I'm one of the kinds of I don't enjoy having big emotions about things, which sounds like a crazy thing for me to say. I don't
Oh,
enjoy
she
having
has so
big
many emotions
about
about Arcane.
because so many, well, fandom is a complicated subject for me because I find fandom to be a source of stress. But
Okay.
I allow myself like a yearly TV emotion, like a yearly thing to get really excited about and pour all of my like media emotion into that. And Arcane is my thing for all time. But
Right.
but
Yeah, we've Jackie and I have been digging into Severance. And so that's kind of our obsession du jour, is that show, which is just like kind of mind blowing. And we're into the second season now. We still have no idea what's going on, and it's brilliant. Which is just like, I love shows like that for sure. But yeah, no, I'll have to check it out. I've got to dig into a few things. Yeah. What did you think about the Pacific Rim, the movie?
I love Pacific Rim. Like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, absolutely. Is that a heart? Yeah, I don't even know.
it's close
Yes.
enough. Yep. No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a big
Now,
mecha heart.
the first movie only. Like the second movie, and there's an animated TV series that came afterward that I didn't even finish because but the
Yeah.
first movie is one of my absolute go-to. I will rewatch it forever movies. Is it flawed? Yes. Do I care? No.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was Charlie Day's in it, right? That's his he was one of the scientists.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, he was brilliant in that for sure. Yeah, once again derailed David's show. It's all good.
I enjoyed Pacific Rim. There's a certain amount of dumb that will take me out of a movie, and that movie hits that level of dumb in
Pacific
multiple
Rim is
places.
perfect, Jacob.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the Ron Perlman collector is kind of like that sort of stretches it a little bit for me, but like
Well,
it's an entertaining watch.
I love Ron
Yeah,
Perlman.
but it's also like, just
But I don't
different
watch him.
like just like the the combat dynamics. You have what is it, Gypsy Danger, I think is the hero mech, and it's got this ranged plasma cannon that for whatever reason they wait until they're in close combat with the kaiju before cranking out the ranged weapons. Like, no, soften up the target at range and then go in with your giant sword that you're not using. Sorry, I'm gonna calm down now.
It makes sense though. It makes sense. Well, in that spirit, I'm gonna bounce the chat out of here because I wanted to do up something fun with you guys, and I thought, what's fun? It's finding insufferable characters, and so I created the insufferable character championship for you. And what I did is I went through some, because Heather, you and I talked a little bit about this, just some of the things that you're familiar with, and like whatever else in terms of fandom stuff and what have you. I've done a few of these brackets on the show before. I did with Nick Horvath, author of Sledge. We did the ultimate badass list where you had like the Terminator versus like John Wick and stuff like that. And then we did we did the side characters, best side characters with Bearded Book Beast, Booktuber. And it was Inigo Montoya that won that one. He made it past the French taunter from Monty Python and all sorts of stuff. So I gathered some characters. I dug into Star Trek, Star Wars, Babylon 5, a couple other Lord of the Rings for sure, like some random stuff. So hopefully all familiar, and you have some kind of an opinion on all of these. And I figured you could approach it any way you want. The idea is these are the annoying ones,
Okay.
or at least ones that either fans called annoying or annoyed me personally. So I put them on here. I mean, it's my show. I get to do what I want. So the way we'll do this is just start out the brackets, and I like to do this in like a ring announcer would announce a fighter, right? So I'll give you the intro for the two that are battling out.
Oh, I am so looking forward to this.
I did, and just Jacob, because you'll look forward to this too. I did actually go through the process of seeding them 1 through 8. So we had the correct matchups according to most insufferable and least insufferable, at least according to fans and a conversation with Grok AI. So I figured this is the best I could do short notice.
This is fantastic.
To throw this together. Okay, so I gotta I want to get my ring announcer voice going here, and here we go. I'm gonna get this. Okay, good. All right. So first, we have a creature so loathed in fandom as to nearly destroy all of the goodwill banked by this stellar franchise. He makes mortal men fight for the mute button, the suspected Sith from Naboo. It's Jar Jar Binks.
I knew it. I knew it.
So he had to be a 1 seed. Come on. Right. All right. This is actually a really good matchup. From whiny farm boy to intergalactic emo adult, his irritating turn might just make you root for the dark side. Here to question his destiny, again, it's Luke Skywalker. So make the argument, which one of these to you would be the most insufferable in this insufferable fight? Luke's the hero, like he's the main character. I get it.
Yeah. Okay, so Luke is the hero, but I'm slightly conflicted right now because I'm one of those few people that finds Jar Jar Binks hilarious.
Well, it's not Phantom Menace Jar Jar Binks that I like. It's specifically the animated series Jar Jar Binks, because the way he's written, he stumbles through all of these things and manages to accidentally fix all these colossal problems. And it's like the Jar Jar in those is accidentally badass.
Right.
But I will say that okay, so Luke has for me, Luke has a few points where he's being whiny or whatnot, but then he comes into own it as his hero before he was ruined by the by the movie I'm not going to start talking about. Because,
I agree.
So I say this is an easy Jar Jar Binks.
This is an easy Jar Jar. Yeah. All right. We have our first winner right here. Boom. And we'll just go on down this side of the bracket. Okay. Okay. So a more obscure character is up right now. From the depths of Babylon 5, we present the man with a martyr complex so big he'd start a revolution at a tea party, the self-righteous drama king who could bore you to tears before you say psychop. It is Byron Gordon. Truly awful in my estimation. I honestly forgot a lot of that part of Babylon 5, and when I was doing this bracket,
that's the season that we
I haven't seen.
So Heather's seen seasons 1 through 4, and then we stopped because I said season 5 you can go watch it on your own. I'm not interested in watching it again. He's in season 5, and I do not like that character.
No, he should be on this list for sure. Next up, you're gonna get this one quick, of course. The ring bearer whose whining could almost outlast the journey itself. Just cast him into the damn lava to keep him quiet already. It's Frodo Baggins.
All right, this is no contest.
I like Frodo, so I'm going to go with the other guy.
Yeah.
But he looks
he is so insufferable.
He's so insufferable. You just don't want to watch the show.
It's like they have like a hunger strike. That's like one of the big plot points. He's leading a hunger strike. It's like, I am not watching this sci-fi show to watch a bunch of telepaths have a hunger strike. Do something.
It's so bad. Which brings us to our number 2 seed on this bracket. Oh boy, here we go. Now it's going to get serious. This know-it-all boy wonder, you already know who I'm talking about, shows off when the adults are trying to have their moment. The kid who'll lecture you on warp theory while you're just trying to enjoy some peace and freaking quiet on the holodeck. Oh. It's Wesley Crusher.
Yeah.
Dig into that one. And next up, another Babylon 5. From B5, here's the doctor whose addiction drama could fill an entire season. Here to remind us that even healers can be hellish. It's Dr. Franklin.
Oh,
I hated that addiction arc. It was I remember like it felt like work watching the shows when that whole storyline was going on. But who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean that was certainly it was a dark part of the show. I mean, there was a lot of dark arcs in Babylon 5, but from from a characterization craft standpoint, I thought it was very well done. Wesley, no, it's Wesley. It's Wesley.
I was automatically gonna select Wesley because I'm honestly not like I haven't seen this season. Gotcha. But when you were describing him, I thought it was going to be young Sheldon or Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, and I was like, yeah, that one. I don't even care who the second one is.
I had way back in the day when I was watching, because I loved The Next Generation, right? And I had an old Mad magazine, and they always had something stupid on the back cover, some like one-page comic. And the one-page comic was all about an after-school special where Wesley Crusher falls victim to naughty holodeck simulations. And I just really always thought that was hilarious. Like wait a second, what are they doing on that holodeck? Anyway, all right. So our last two on this one. Okay. Step right up for the greediest, most scheming bunch in the galaxy, one-dimensional merchants to the core, literally all of the Ferengi. All of them. Every last one. And then it's this one. Okay, look, this one was a personal choice. It had nothing to do with Grok's choice or any other fans. This was all me. Okay. Here's the pint-sized warrior whose war cry sounds like gibberish. This announcer longs to see him as a stain on the bottom of an ATST's foot. It's Yub Nub the Ewok. I never rooted so hard for a creature to get squashed by a giant metal thing than that guy right there.
I'm going to wait until Heather talks, and then
what do you got?
To compare the two for me, but I think I'm going to say the Ewok.
See, I would have gone with the Ferengi if it wasn't for Deep Space Nine, and I feel that
credit where credit is due.
They took a very one-note villain race, and they added a lot of depth, and you had interesting characters like Quark and Nog, and that cast. The Ewoks, Ewoks win.
Ewoks win. Oh, that makes me happy. That's good.
If I recall correctly, the original plan was to have the Wookiees be like some of the slave labor that helped build the second Death Star, but George didn't want to go that route because we'd already seen them like firing guns and whatnot, and I'm like, no,
right.
That would have been perfect for that to be the Wookiees,
right?
And that the Empire had enslaved them and were using them as slave labor, but nah.
Well,
bears.
I mean, to be fair, Mattel needed to make money off the movie, so here were the Ewoks. Yeah, we haven't. Believe me, that's not the last cash grab that's on here. All right, so the next one we're gonna do, we're into the other side here. Jesse Bruce Lee would have replaced Frodo with a pet chicken. Oh, that's good. All right. So her sweet facade hides a monstrous delight in power and punishment, making her the ultimate annoyance. With a personality so irritating, it can actually distract you from her hideous outfit. It's Dolores Umbridge. Up against, Grok said she was the one seed, and I'm like, she's pretty irritating.
I'm sure she's going to win this one, regardless of who the second one is.
Well, let's see what we got here. So, I've got some good ones on this side. Trust me. The Jedi Master, so annoying they had to resort to CGI to make you forget an iconic Muppet. He lives in a swamp and talks funny, which means he's one Pabst away from being a redneck fever dream. It's Yoda.
Oh yeah, Umbridge is definitely worse than Yoda.
I mean,
I've never wanted Yoda.
Well, yes, but I agree. I agree. But I will say that from, looking at looking at it from like a craftsmanship standpoint, Dolores Umbridge is a fantastic love to hate villain.
Correct. Yes.
You know, she was meant to be that way, and you are meant to hate her, and you hate her.
We're not talking about craft, though. We're talking about who's insufferable.
Well, yes, she is insufferable. Yes,
like who would you rather spend like 3 hours with in like a room?
I'd hang with Yoda.
You'd hang with Yoda.
It depends which kinds of weapons I am allowed to bring into and what state the individual is in.
I think we can safely say the number 1 seed moves on this one. Yeah. I mean, look, Yoda's an 8 seed. Like, I get it. He's beloved and everything. Sure. Samwise has to be on this list. Samwise is not on the list.
Oh, I love Samwise.
I could have had all Lord of the Rings and it would have been just as brilliant, but yeah. All right. So next, I was looking forward to this one. The steward who's more interested in his own despair than ruling. He's the number 3 seed who'd tell you that Boromir would have made him the number 1 seed. Don't watch him eat a tomato. It is Lord Denethor.
The first thing I pictured was literally the tomato. I thought you were going to say we're doing thinking more about tomatoes.
That's right. That scene is so uncomfortable. Okay, and then next, a little obscure, a Starfleet character whose exit was so abrupt it would confuse Q. The one who'll leave you saying, "Wait, what the hell just happened?" It's Tasha Yar.
I mean, yeah, it's
we're operating on 2 different scales here.
We are, yeah.
No. Now, I will say that I found Denethor as a character to be much more interesting in the books. And I thought that now obviously in the movies, they had to make cuts somewhere.
Yeah.
And I had really wished that, like, when the extended editions came out, that they were able to flesh out why Denethor was nutty, and that he was, he had been looking through the Palantir and he had been, affected that way. But
I'm gonna say Denethor, just because I mean, yeah, he was well crafted, but also, like, I wasn't really sad when he caught fire.
All right. You're like,
this one's Denethor. This one.
Jeez. Going on and on. Boromir would have brought me more tomatoes. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, I think that's a good call. That's a good call. All right. We're down to our last 4 right here. Slithering into the ring, we have the master of manipulation and whispering sweet nothings of doom. So irritating, even his own shadow wants to disown him. It is, of course, Grima Wormtongue. He's pretty insufferable.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, and I'm hoping I hit the right note on this one. A pilot so perfect. He makes your best day look like amateur hour. His only flaw is making literally everyone else look bad without trying. Kira Yamato?
This is actually one of the Gundam series I haven't seen.
I tried.
Jacob, this one's yours. I lean toward Wormtongue because Wormtongue. But
I know,
think, Jacob?
But all right. I'm
tough.
If you had seen it, I think you would have probably have gone with. I
like this, by the way. Yeah.
With the what's his name? Kira.
Yeah. Yamato. Yep.
Yeah.
Kira Yamato.
But,
yep.
We'll go with Wormtongue.
Based on what I know of insufferable Gundam characters specifically, Gundam does insufferable characters really, really well. Not like there's,
but he's the main character,
right?
But my point is, when Gundam does insufferable, like, they do it so perfectly. Like, you're not sad when bad things happen to the insufferable characters in Gundam, and it's like, just because there's that precedent, I'm inclined to go with the Gundam character by default.
Just because you think the franchise does insufferable well?
Yeah. So, and it even does
okay. I would agree with her that I think the Kira is more insufferable than Wormtongue. I was just
All right, look.
All right, let's
we
go
have
with Kira then.
We have our first upset, or our first significant upset for sure. There was, when I was looking through the Gundam characters, and I was looking, and it was like a list of most irritating Gundam characters, and there's so much information online.
There's
And one of them, but the other one was some Nina Purple something.
Purpleton?
Nina Purpleton.
Yeah.
Purpleton.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. Some people. So it was a choice between the two of them, and I'm like, well, let me. This one's
he's more insufferable.
There you go. Right. The Wesley Crusher energy there. All right. So here we go. These two I know you're going to enjoy. The most annoying CGI cash grab since every Marvel movie ever. These critters will chew through your ship and your patience, more irritating than adorable. It's the Porgs.
Oh, I love the Porg. I got a Porg on my car. I love them so much.
Such a blatant cash grab.
Oh, yeah.
And then lastly, from the sands of Dune, we introduce the traitor with a plan so convoluted you'll need a map to follow it, whose betrayal is only outdone by his annoying self-justification, Dr. Yue.
Porg versus Dr.
Porg versus, I mean, like, who you got?
Oh,
Porg.
100%. This is no contest for me. No contest whatsoever.
Ship though. I disagree on
Porg is more insufferable than Dr. Yue.
I'm calling Dr. Yue on this one. We're
man,
fight over this one.
We have it.
A million deaths and not enough for Yue.
You've got one Yue. You've got all the
We're
Porg.
supposed to be choosing the one we like the least, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you like a Porg less than Dr. Yue?
That's what I'm doing.
He's an interesting character.
Well, still.
Okay, so like literally, he was conditioned. He was conditioned with like the Hippocratic Oath, and he had his Hippocratic Oath broken, and his whole thing. He was willing to hold on. His whole thing was like to save his wife, and if he wasn't able to do that, to get revenge for her. He's a really interesting character. He's a dark character, but no, Porgs all the way.
Hey, I'll let you have this one.
We're not having anything Dune be insufferable here.
Oh, that's what it is.
Oh man, Jesse, funny right here. Disagree. The good doctor was the dumbest smart person character possibly in literature. And then Jax with the Shinji from Eva, also insufferable. Yeah. She rants about Shinji all the time, particularly the voice acting.
We would be good friends.
There you go.
I can rant about Eva infinitely. Much to Jacob's pleasure.
That's good. Well, you guys can have that conversation at the next LibertyCon for sure. Tim, finally free from ex-prison, and you've made it. Appreciate it, buddy. How's it going? How's freedom taste? I was telling him that I was about to do a candlelight vigil and lay down in the middle of I-95 until he got his ban undone on X. So we've made it to some quarterfinals here. And our first one is Jar Jar versus
Byron.
This is terrible. Yeah.
Byron.
I don't even know Byron, but it looks like it.
You're gonna have to I hate to say this, you just got to watch it because it is. Yeah. It's like one of those, like watching the when the train wreck's on TV. It's like, oh man, I really shouldn't be watching this. It's so awful, but there it is. Yep. And then what do we got for this is the best whatever. Wesley versus
I'm gonna say Crusher
Yub-Nub.
Ewok doesn't remind me of Sheldon. So
valid point.
What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, Wesley.
It's Wesley Crusher. Yeah, we know this one. All right. Can't wait to narrow that one down. And up here, Dolores Umbridge and Denethor. Whoo! I mean, look, and you made valid points before. Two well-written characters,
for sure,
for what they are. But which one to you is the most insufferable?
Dolores.
Yeah, it's Umbridge. Like, I hate them both, but
It's
I would punch her faster than I would punch Denethor. So
she would eat tomato with a fork and a knife. I'm just saying. Yeah, I really think
that's true. She does. Yeah. Anyway.
all right. She makes it through to the next round, and then
Yes.
the weirdest quarterfinal ever.
I love it.
What do we got?
Like, it's gotta be. Gundam does insufferable well.
Yeah.
And I disagree with Porgs are insufferable. Kira. So Kira.
Yeah.
The battle of the century. I'm gonna wait just a moment. If any of you want to screenshot that, that's fine. Yeah, so we'll move Kira on. All right, here we go. Boom. Setting up our semis. And right over here, we've got Byron and Wesley Crusher, two of the most and both sci-fi, both great franchises, and both really annoying.
Byron, just Byron.
Yeah, just the whole, the whole like telepath protest leader thing. Just it wins out.
Yeah. I mean, Wesley, at least he was episodically insufferable. Byron was insufferable over the course of an arc that you haven't paid attention to. Byron.
I'll watch that on faster speed.
You will watch that on your own, because I'm not watching it again.
And then Dolores versus Kira Yamato.
And here's the thing: we've kind of accepted Kira as like,
top
sort
tier
of an amalgamation of all insufferable Gundam characters.
Yeah.
So
but Umbridge is Umbridge.
Yeah, but
these are some tough calls in here for sure. Yeah. I mean, look, on the one, like Umbridge has her purpose for sure.
Yeah.
Are there characters like Kira that are also within the franchise that were like you could just swap it out with anybody else and it's just as insufferable? But then again, I guess you could.
I mean, I would put like most of the cast of Witch of Mercury up there. Like half, if not 2/3 of those characters. They were all like that.
Though you could switch out Dolores for like Gilderoy Lockhart, who's also insufferable and like not even that funny.
Oh man,
I gotta go with Umbridge just because, like,
I'm going with Gundam.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I could, like, I don't necessarily want to punch Kira though. And
well, I have strong feelings about the entire cast of Witch of Mercury. So
he's not in Witch of Mercury.
Yeah, but I'm just sort of projecting, using him as sort of like avatar for like all of the insufferability within the Gundam franchise.
So let me get this straight. You're voting for Kira as an insert for the Witch of Mercury cast, even though the Witch of Mercury cast is not on this tournament bracket.
Yes, and I see nothing wrong with this logic.
I'm calling Umbridge. Like,
here's man. Jesse. Umbridge's fate was perfect if you know what barbaric centaur bands classically do to captured women. Wow. Oh, that escalated.
Wow.
Like, I have a viscerally negative reaction to Umbridge. I'm just annoyed.
Okay, so here's where I'm going to try to convince you, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
Umbridge's presence in the books enhanced the books because she's such a great love-to-hate villain. The characters like Kira and most of the cast of Witch of Mercury did not enhance.
Okay, anything. That is a fair analysis. I will go with Kira based on that.
All right, no, you know what? That's a great argument. Solid, and leads us to a final battle. really something. Because like this guy right here is just I can't even I don't even like him on the screen. You know, like obviously I don't know as much about the anime end of things. I get it that a lot of anime characters are supremely insufferable. You know, we had those in the last anime I watched, if you even want to call it anime, because it's not really like that, but Avatar: The Last Airbender is like probably like mine, and I can think of irritating characters for sure, but nothing that's like such a visceral reaction the way you're describing this. That is really extreme. Honestly, I would just put the porgs here, but like that's just me, you know, or Yub Nub. But like this is your bracket. I'm highlighting you guys.
Unexpected face off.
A very unexpected face off.
See, this is one of the reasons why I was looking forward to this part.
Right. So
since I haven't seen season 5 of Babylon 5, and I haven't. Is this Gundam Seed? Is that which one it is? Gundam, yeah. Here's what it's going to come down to. How many episodes are in Babylon 5, season 5?
Like 22, 24.
Yeah, I want to say somewhere around 20
something.
How many episodes is he in?
Most of them.
Yeah, that season he was. Yeah.
How many episodes are in Gundam Seed?
50 some, I think.
Okay, Kira. Shoot. We get more episodes of him, so therefore he's more insufferable. That's the
insufferableness.
I'm going to agree, but for different reasons. That I have mentally ascribed the total sum mass of insufferability within the Gundam franchise to Kira as its avatar right now. This insufferability has reached such a critical mass that it has started to collapse in on itself and is forming a mental event horizon within my mind right now. So we're going to go with Kira.
If you keep thinking everything is unsufferable forever. The singularity of insufferable. We have our winner. Nice job, you guys. Nice job.
Oh, that was not the winner I was expecting, but that's kind of great.
No, it's the champion nobody expected, but we all needed, I think, is really what that comes down to. So, there's some good ones in here. There's some good fights for sure. Yep. Wesley versus Yub Nub will forever go down in history that's like my Roman Empire right there, to be honest. I'm going to be thinking about that one for weeks. So there we go. Thank you guys for entertaining my insanity with that. That's too good. I do want to do some pitch storm with you, but I want to flip back to just a question or two. It's just shifting into some of the creativity stuff again, and then we'll wrap up with pitch storm in just a moment. But I wanted to ask you both because you've put out a lot of material, you've written a lot of books, you've written things together. Is your process vastly different? You have different processes. So when you're working together, writing something together, does it pretty much blend for you two? Like, would you call it seamless?
I think it comes down to thinking in terms of the structure. What we do when we collaborate is we basically brainstorm world building, we brainstorm characters, we brainstorm plot. And a lot of times when we collaborate, Jacob has final say on the outlines, and then I do the primary writing. And so it's, I don't know that seamless.
Which isn't always the case.
But. Well, it's not always the case. But I mean, if we're at this point, we've done so many collaborations that it can kind of be distilled down to that. But it's each stage has its own different dynamic. I'd say the brainstorming and outline planning stage is a lot more conventionally collaborative than, say, the production stage. Would you say, Jacob?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep.
Though it's been something that I've kind of had in the back of my mind that I would that I would like us to do at some point is to have the actual principal writing be more collaborative, where for example you say there's like 2 protagonist leads and I take one viewpoint character and she takes another viewpoint character and we sort of bounce around like that, or
Yeah.
She takes certain types of scenes and I take another type of scenes. Like for example, I write like the action scenes and she, writes like the the eating scenes. Well, another scene came to mind, but Edie Sky, purveyor of fine smut.
Yes.
But yeah, it's one of the things that I've tried to do is to help Heather with her OCD by sort of laying down like a railroad for her to travel down.
Gotcha. Yep.
And to take measures to kind of help her focus. And so that's one of the reasons why I was like, okay, the big picture stuff, the high level stuff, let me take care of that. And then, boil it down to a scene. And then the scene is, need to do this, this, and this.
Right. Yep.
So that's one of the ways that, we've, I kind of, think about it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there are a few scenes, like in the Titan Mage series, there are a few scenes that I wrote, or I edited heavily.
Yeah.
And where they're probably at this point more mine than hers. But I think that for the most part, we're able to fake each other's author voice enough that unless you're like another author, you're probably not going to see the fingerprints of who wrote what.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting because when you're collaborating like that, for you too, you both have such a good handle on each other's creative process that I feel like it's it at least smooths out blending everything together. I was one of my last episodes, I was talking to Zach Forbes, and he's young, he's 20. I think he was 25, something like that, years old. And his brother, I think 18 or 19, and they write novels together. And it's the same thing. Like they're brothers, they're together, they play together. They're like on the PlayStation together, playing games together, talking about the stories and everything else. And because they know each other so well, blending those two voices in, knowing that you've got these characters, I've got these, we can put it all together, just kind of happens seamlessly. And I know a lot of authors really like to do collaborations or would like to do more collaborating. But I feel like have that difficult time if you're just thrust in a book with somebody that you've never written with before, and maybe you don't have a huge body of work together. Like I imagine that can be tougher, but knowing each other, knowing how each other works, I think is just really, really important. Again, it all comes down to having a handle on that creative process. Like really.
It's one of the reasons why, like the only person I've ever collaborated with thus far is Jacob. And largely because of my OCD stuff and how it affects my writing process. But before I collaborate, should I decide to collaborate with anyone, the very first thing I'm going to ask them before we even talk about what the story is what's your writing process? Because I absolutely, because my writing process has to be so structured, I can't work with someone whose writing process involves seeing it shiny and then being like, oh, let's change the entire outline. That's just, that automatically clashes.
Yeah, we're gonna have a problem. Yeah, for sure.
And novels will not happen.
Definitely. Well, so that's a good transition in terms of collaborating into having a little bit of fun with Pitch Storm to wrap up our conversation. So I'm gonna here's the moment where you're just like, oh man, this are we really gonna do this? Yes, we're really gonna do this. It has become tradition on the show. We're just going to have a little bit of fun. We'll do a couple rounds. They're pretty quick. So let me intro this. Next up, we're going to play some Pitch Storm. This little exercise provides us a live real-time look into our guests' brains. This is a fully random event all about creation in real time, neurons firing and all that. I want you to be able to witness the magical moment when the spark of an idea manifests into something awesome and interesting in our physical world. Guests are given a random character, a random plot, and must pitch these two things as a story, as detailed as our heart desires. Once the 30-second pitch is expired, there are 2 additional rounds with a unique twist where I try to screw them up, and everything gets repitched. Audience heckling is mandatory. As a lifeline, there are 2 mulligans offered. So if you have a great distaste for one of the spins, you can ask for a respin. Just don't respin twice in a row. So yeah, that pretty much is it. And let me go ahead and throw this happy little wheel of doom on here. The wheel of doom. All right. So yeah, here's the part where I get to nerd out a little bit. So this was just like a series of Pitch Storm is a card game, similar to like, just if you played like Cards Against Humanity, like that kind of stuff. It's like one of those, right? And what I did is I took basically hundreds and hundreds of characters and put them into 2 different wheels here, fully randomized. And yes, I retyped every single card from all the expansion decks. Did the same thing with the plots and did the same thing with the notes that are designed to screw you up. So there's over 4 billion combinations of stories within here, which can get really absurd. So we never know what's going to happen. We've had some strange stuff go on. That surprisingly, the YouTube channel is still here, and I wasn't banned. So I'll say this, and you can pitch these together. You can do like, if you want to do them on your own, like
together,
do it together. Perfect. That's perfect. All right. So the illusion of choice, everything is fully randomized. There's no like categorical breakout. So characters A or characters B, where do you want to start?
Characters A.
A it is. All right. Let's spin the wheel and see what we get. Doo-doo. An overeager sponge that lives on the bottom of the sea is your main character. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure what that is.
Jacob has never seen SpongeBob either.
Oh, all right.
I know of SpongeBob. Okay. It's
if you don't know what SpongeBob is, though, this prompt is really strange. Yeah. So do you want to go plots A or plots B?
You choose this one, Jacob.
No, let's just go with A. I don't know the difference between the 2 anyway, so.
Yep. Jeremy, appreciate you, buddy. And thanks for hanging out with us. And all right, so we're going to go with A on this one. There is no difference. It's just all randomized, fully randomized plots. So our overeager sponge inherits an evil doll.
Oh my God.
So basically, what I'll do now is I'm going to get just like a little timer here that I can get going. And I'll get this started when you start, and just pitch me a story for 30 seconds. You'll hear that noise when your 30 seconds is up. You can continue on for a little bit if you need to, just really, if you're really getting into it. And then, and let's just get the genesis of it. You don't need an ending because I'm going to throw in some wrinkles, but our story is, based off of a sponge that lives on the bottom of the sea, overeager, that inherits an evil doll. And whenever you're ready, start pitching.
Okay, this is going to be a buddy comedy. And I think they're going to go on a road trip. And the road trip is, okay. Pitch. Come on, Jacob. They're going to go on a road trip.
Okay, so
return the evil doll. This is so
all right, so
like I made little cheat cards, but all my characters are like sexy, and that doesn't either of them.
Sexy sponge.
All right, hold on. So it's we have the sponge inherits the evil doll, and so he's going to team up with a sexy gamer girl,
Nice.
and they need to travel to. Well, that's not going to work. They need to travel to a hunting lodge.
I like
to save.
I got mine too. I can draw
a sexy airship captain.
Kira Yamato. They're saving Kira Yamato.
Mic drop.
All right. Well, let's throw a wrinkle into this and see. This'll provide you a little bit more to work with. Our first wrinkle, or our first note. Hey, let's add super creepy monster hunting monster hunting the main character.
Okay.
You know, actually, if they're going to a hunting lodge with an evil doll and you got a sponge, there's something here to work with. So,
I like the monster. It's going to be a Furby. It's going to be a giant Furby. Jacob, do you know what a Furby is? You have to change it. You pick the monster, Jacob. I don't know what pop culture references you understand.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be super creepy. What Furby?
I will show you the lore of Furby.
Yeah,
they're being chased by Cthulhu.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Is like regular Cthulhu or hot Cthulhu? Like what story are we writing here? I need. Well, we've got a sexy gamer girl and a sexy airship captain. Like, do we also have sexy Cthulhu? There's nothing saying that Cthulhu.
Okay, so according to the cards,
this is like goth road trip.
So what's going to happen at the hunting lodge with Cthulhu, which you want to make sexy Cthulhu, is a sexy dinner party. All right. I think what you did here, Heather, is you just took a bunch of like nouns and put sexy in front of them.
No, there's plain nouns in there too, because I basically, so guys, I made a list of a bunch of tropes and character types that appear in all of our novels. And so there's like lots of sexy engineers and sexy people, but there's also like regular engineers and regular people.
All right. And at the hunting lodge, they're going to team up with a time cop.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, here's what we'll do. We've got the sponge. We've got the evil doll. They're being chased by sexy Cthulhu at a hunting lodge.
Yes.
I'm going to give this one more spin and just tell me what the ending is for this tale.
Okay.
And by the way, draw me like a sexy Cthulhu is going to be something that I'm going to say to people now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Draw me like you're a sexy Cthulhu. That's good. All right. So our last one, let's add a giant psychic squid.
Yes.
I mean, that kind of is Cthulhu.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've already got that.
Yeah,
all right. Well, just get me the ending of this story. Let's do it. I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap it up with a good ending. Go for it.
Okay, so is the giant psychic squid going to be Cthulhu, or is it a different squid?
Well, yes. I think the sexy dinner party is the ending.
It could be. We've got like a hijinks ending. So it's a very bad dinner party, and things go epically disastrous. And does the doll actually get returned to where they're going? Like, what did we ever determine the point of this road trip? Like, why are they road tripping? Why are they in the hunting lodge? I mean, we could just say that like friendship was the treasure all along, or whatever. But
I feel like we've come up with something that's even weirder than Buckaroo Banzai here.
Yeah, that's kind of up there. You know, I'm trying to picture, like, we've got all this weird stuff going on. I'm just like trying to give myself a structure. It's like, what would Wes Anderson do in this situation? And it doesn't help because it's already weird.
These cards aren't helping because I'm just ending up with sexy gamer girls, sexy vampire hunting. Oh, there's a space marine. There's a space marine at the hunting lodge. Okay, we got that.
The space marine kills everybody, and
the hunting lodge. I got. So the hunting lodge is a hunting lodge that is like a nexus within the multiverse. That's why there's all this strange stuff there. Okay, so they actually have to defeat Cthulhu with the evil doll to save the entire multiverse there.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Finally, a merciful ending.
This is actually a really good example of how Jacob and I write together, because I make a mess and Jacob makes it make sense.
Look, I was really hoping somebody was going to say like Cthulhu gets his doll back and then just takes a bath. Sexy Cthulhu bathing with the sponge, you know, would have been a good, like, you know, fade to black with some like Al Green in the background, you know, a little bit of Marvin Gaye, something. All right. Hey, let's do another one. Let's see if we can get even weirder than that.
I've got the vibe now, I think.
All right, we got the vibe.
It's miss, but it's going to be a fun miss.
That's okay. So we'll go characters A or characters B for this one.
You can pick this time, Jacob.
Characters B.
There we go. The illusion of choice. And spin it and see what we get. Who are we working with? We're working with misunderstood troll living under a bridge. Okay. can do plenty with that. Plots A or plots B?
Plots A.
Plots A it is. Do. And your misunderstood troll inherits an... I gotta respin that. What are the odds?
Well,
oh, man.
We did establish in the last one that it's a multiverse. Maybe it's a multiverse hopping doll.
It could be. Let's switch that up just for the sake of... hunts a killer with the help of a devious cannibal. All right. A misunderstood troll hunting a killer with the help of a devious cannibal. 30 seconds. And what do you got on this one?
Is the cannibal like a scary cannibal or
the cannibal's whatever you want him to be?
Like, what do you want to do, Jacob? Do we want to go like John Wick, or do we want to go like
No, I'm thinking, if we're going Keanu Reeves, we go like Constantine. So it's like a demonic cannibal.
Okay.
From hell.
There we go. So we got a troll and a demon cannibal. My brain has decided that the troll is like some kind of nerd girl, but like, yeah.
That is a totally different vibe.
She just wants to hang out under her bridge and read books and see nobody, but now she's got to find this killer with this demon cannibal. And he's not even hot. And then they have to deal with that.
Is this killer that the demonic cannibal needs to return to hell?
Okay,
that's his
job. Does the
killer
kill someone relevant to her, or is it just?
But in the process of trying to fulfill this mission, the demonic cannibal finds true love in the troll. Yes,
but she doesn't love him. She just wants to like sit there and read.
Ooh, romantic tension.
This isn't romantic.
I like it.
A murder story. No, this is not a murder story. This is what genre are we working in, Jacob?
I think a thriller. A paranormal thriller. I think is where we ended up.
Thriller. There we go.
Paranormal romance thriller.
Fine. Okay. Yeah. Now we're in territory I know how to work with. That is a weird mashup, though. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know anything about thriller genre conventions except that
I like the nerdy, bookish, cute little troll under the bridge. It's just want to be left alone. Yeah. And then here comes the demon cannibal. And that's all right. Look, you got something to work with.
Yeah.
So let's mess it up some and try and form some semblance of a story.
We have our characters. That's the important beginning.
The kids want turmoil. Add some dead parents. Oh man. Okay.
All right.
So the killer, she's not interested in hunting this killer until the killer kills.
Okay, there we go. We have the cult.
Then she teams up with the demonic cannibal to hunt.
Okay. So she's like, I guess my parents are dead now. I guess I'll go. And then they go and what?
Well, we could have it be a little bit more dramatic than that. It's like, I guess since my parents are dead, I should leave my bridge and my books and go help this guy.
Okay, so where do they go, Jacob? I'm gonna pull a setting card. Is this my setting cup?
Yeah, pull a setting. Let's see.
Okay, they're gonna go to a magic floating city.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Heck yes, they're gonna meet hold it. All my cards are stuck together. A wizard. This is boring. I'm gonna pick a different one. They're gonna meet a wizard who is also a chosen one. That is also boring. They're gonna meet Harry Potter on this magic floating city.
Sexy Cthulhu.
But it's not gonna be young Harry Potter. It's gonna be like jaded, like guns akimbo Harry Potter. Like I just pictured
nice.
Well, not like crazy Daniel Radcliffe.
What like John Wick and Hermione Granger had a kid or something?
Yeah, exactly. And the killer also killed Voldemort killed his parents. No, this is alternate universe gun Harry Potter. And the killer also killed his parents. And so now the troll and the demon cannibal have teamed up with gun Harry Potter, and they've got a team of buddies now. And where's the killer in all this? Like, are they following clues to him, or are they just kind of?
We haven't defined who the killer is yet.
Okay, the killer is. This is my character.
Oh no!
The killer is a succubus with a shotgun.
Oh, nice. All right. Okay. All right. I'd watch it.
Convenient that we're
that was was strangely specific. Something to come out of your cheat cards there.
Okay. So they go and they meet the shotgun succubus, and there's a face-off in. They're on their floating city, but now they're at a dragon fair. Which, okay, so in Titan Mage, dragon fairs are basically Renaissance fairs that are themed around dragons. So they're having a face-off at a Renaissance fair with guns.
All right.
And
let me dragons.
Let me throw in. I'll throw in one more wrinkle and just get me to an ending on this one. And
okay.
And let's see what you can come up with a resolution with one more wrench tossed into this whole thing. Let's give all the characters superpowers. Can you make it work?
Oh, heck yeah. Okay.
All right. Get me to an ending.
Okay. So the troll, her superpower is, I don't know, the ability to kill everyone with a thought. And they kill the killer. And then everyone is like, well, that was boring. And so the other gets the ability to back up time.
Editor veto.
Like, what?
Editor veto.
I'm not done. I was going to say another one gets the ability to rewind time. And they're like, that was boring. We're going to rewind time and give this a more interesting ending. And so you give, what superpower are you going to give someone, Jacob?
I'm going to give someone the superpower to nullify other superpowers because yours are too overpowered. I need to place some checks on your contributions to the story.
I'm going to give someone a really lame superpower. Like one of them, they only want to, so they've been getting their superpowers like in a slow progression. Like they're not all getting them at the same time. And suddenly you come down to the last person who has not received a superpower and they're like, okay, you have to get the good one. The plot relies on this. And then they get a really lame superpower, like the ability to knit really fast. And they're like, what are we going to do with this? And take it, Jacob. What do they do with that?
So
they stab the killer with a knitting needle.
So one of the characters has the ability to allow other characters to re-roll their power.
Okay.
And they perform a re-roll, and then that character has basically the Deus Ex Machina power and saves the day.
Okay. They say woot.
I got nothing. You backed me into a corner, all right?
I mean, look, Succubus with a Shotgun is a great title for literally anything.
Yes.
I would that's fantastic. And yeah, I've never heard of a superpower that was speed knitting. But I like it. It's I try to come up with this whole bank of like super lame superpowers. Mm-hmm. Like you can teleport, but like just like 4 inches.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. Or you can float, but like, only like a little bit. And if it's a full moon and Tuesday, or what have you, those are always good. Yes, I know that's true, but thank you both. That was great. I mean, if anything, that was a look into the creative editing and vetoing process.
Indeed. It's actually a very accurate picture of what it looks like.
Sometimes the veto pen comes out and is
has to be like, no.
Like, no, this is not going to work. We need to rethink this, Heather.
That's fantastic.
You saw a squirrel and you chased after the squirrel, and now the squirrel is all over the page. And
I love squirrel chasing, but yeah, no, I get that. Well, let me do this. Let me ask you before we wrap up, and I again really appreciate the both of you being on and for hanging out with me for so long and everything. This has been a blast and just wonderful getting to know you and the creative process and have some fun with all the geeky nerdy stuff too. But I always try to end on a note that's helpful and uplifting for some other authors out there. So let me ask you each of this, which is if there are a lot of us out there, they have struggle. A lot of authors out there have struggle getting seen, marketing their work, or even just in the process of writing the book, feeling like they're not good enough. Imposter syndrome kicks in, all of the different things that can happen to us to prevent us from getting the words down. So what advice, as people who have had output and have books out there, had some success with everything and work collaboratively as well, what advice do you have to that person that's out there and perhaps watching and struggling?
One thing I frequently have to tell myself, because here's the thing, I am technically a best-selling author, like by Amazon standards. I make my career on writing, and even I struggle with imposter syndrome, even though I can look at my daily earnings and be like, heck yeah. It's something that every author goes through.
Mhm.
And a lot of times I find that there are certain specific things that make me dislike my writing, like OCD aside. Sometimes I just have OCD days where words are not wording.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of times it's very simple. If I start hating my writing, usually I look at my clock. Usually it's 4 o'clock, and it just means I'm hungry and I need snackies. And then I go eat a snack, maybe take a nap, and then come back to my writing once I'm no longer tired. And suddenly I'm like, you know what? This isn't that bad after all.
Yeah. Know thyself.
We're our own worst critics.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're a worst critic of yourself when you just need a snack and a nap.
I agree. I hate myself when I'm hangry. Absolutely.
I hate everything when I'm hangry. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm a whole different person.
It's good. Jacob, what about you? What advice do you have to that struggling author out there?
So I've been sort of struggling myself with what I wanted to say here, so I haven't talked about this very much with out in the public sphere, but I have dealt with chronic pain issues to the point where suicidal thoughts have come up. And I've pushed through that. While I certainly hope that whatever dark, or frustrating thing that author is dealing with is not at that level. I can say that from personal experience, it was worth pushing through, and sticking to it. One of the things that I heard writing referred to as is it's like playing roulette, but every time you publish a book or put chips down on the table, they stay on the table. And so every time that wheel spins, there's the chance that it'll land on something that you've produced. And so it's not like each project individually, is in a vacuum and has to be, like lucky and fantastic and whatnot on its own. Your luck is accumulating as you're producing, as you're publishing, and as you're reaching readers. And I don't know really exactly where I was going with all of that. Was that?
The point is that no matter how hard it feels in a given moment, things will get better. You just have to push through and get yourself through that moment and do whatever it takes, regardless of whatever is getting you down, whether it's just your writing or whether it's something darker. And yeah.
So, just on to touch on that, two things, just two personal anecdotes from me here. When I wrote my debut novel, The Caretaker, really, really dark time. It was right after my brother had passed away. And just there was that novel to me was a lot of it was my version of therapy. Just writing the story out and the tone that the story took, because when he passed away, I was about 5,000 words in. I ended up landing around 85. And the entire tone of everything that I had planned was just completely off the rails, and worked through it with the storytelling and the written word. And I feel like that helped a lot to be able to get those things out, even though it's urban fantasy, it's supernatural, but still all of those human themes are within there. And there's something really powerful in having been through certain situations like that. And I understand those dark moments for sure, Jacob. to be able to write them and kind of face them on page was really cathartic for me, and really kind of helped break out of there. The other one of the recent releases that I had was Joy Jitsu, which is my first creative nonfiction work, with a couple of co-writers. And Joy Jitsu is just this, it's our version of kind of like I would call it like a self-help, but it's really just perspective on living a more joyful life and just trying to find those pockets of happiness. But it all starts with, when it's really hard, the first thing it starts with is perseverance. And that speaks to what you're talking about here, Jacob, where it's like, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Success will come, but it won't come if you just don't do anything. Because you're not really creating your own luck in that case. And you're not constantly persevering and pushing forward little by little. And I feel like the more you have of that, the more you have under your belt, then the more you have to work with, and the more you have that can get out there and that can potentially affect other people and everything else. I mean, all of us tell some kind of a message through our writing in one way or another. And so, that's some really powerful stuff. And I really appreciate that, dropping that kind of advice in something so personal, because I think it really, really matters. More people than you realize are really struggling. And so
one thing that I'll add too, from a writing specific perspective, given all the pain stuff Jacob went through, especially last year was a really hard year for us, to the point where despite my success writing, I considered giving up writing entirely for various reasons, because my brain was not in it.
Yep.
Until I had a small handful of readers, sort of coincidentally, all at the same point, either speak to me in person or email me to tell me various ways in which my writing had affected them.
Yeah.
I was completely unaware that my silly little sexy giant robot story had helped someone get through a divorce, had helped someone get through the death of a parent, had helped distract someone from thoughts of suicide. I even had one person speak to me about a life-spanning trauma that they went through, and my silly little story helped them begin to process that trauma for the first time in decades.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
And my point
absolutely.
is that you never know, like, you may think little of your writing, but you never know how it's affecting other people. And even if you do think little of your writing, there's a significant chance that it hit someone somewhere in just the right way. And someone's life has been improved by your efforts without you even knowing it. And that's an amazingly powerful feeling to have as an author. And it's one of the things that, like, even now, like when my OCD gets bad, sometimes I'm like, screw it, I'm never going to write again. That's a lie. But I pull myself out of it by thinking, by looking at those letters and being like, you know what? Someone's alive because I wrote this book. If I continue writing, I can give them more distractions.
Yeah.
And that's a huge motivator for me.
Absolutely. I had that very similar moment for me with the first novel, chapter 21, which was very deeply personal in The Caretaker, and very reflective. And I had somebody send me a message. They sent me an email, and I don't know where they were. I think they were like South Korea or something like that. It was definitely not US. And they sent an email through my website without like a contact number or a contact email. It was just anonymous, came through. I read your book. I loved it. I read chapter 21. Just wanted to let you know that chapter saved my life. That was the message. And I have no way to ask anything or say anything. They didn't want me to contact them. But seeing something like that, it's like, wow, okay. It's something that, I'm not going to say it was like a throwaway chapter or anything like that. Definitely it found its place in the book and it was perfect for that spot. But you don't realize, as authors, a lot of times when how much of an impact you really have with people and with written words. So kudos to you guys for persevering through that and putting everything down. And, it's just really happy to hear that. And again, thrilled that you were able to come on and we could have just a wonderful conversation and a great time like this. Feel the same. People reach out to say about comfort in some way by sharing my videos. Absolutely. Videos about plants. That does the trick, Jax. That's what it is. So there's all that.
It's a really simple thing.
What's that?
Sometimes all it takes is a really simple thing.
It's a way for people to be connected. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So thank you guys for that. Any final thoughts before we close up, or are we good? Are you mentally exhausted?
Yeah, I think we're good.
We're good.
Oh.
We're good. I'm gonna be thinking about Sexy Cthulhu and Wesley Crusher versus Yubnub. That's pretty much my takeaway from all of it.
That tournament tier.
All right. Well, let me close it out. But you two just hang with me. I'm going to say goodbye to you in the green room once I end the stream. So here we go, folks. Thank you for tuning in and spending some time with us tonight. Special thanks to the Holos for being great sports, wonderful guests. Highly encourage you to check out all of their work. Links to all the things are in the description of the video. They're all over the socials and everything as well. YouTube, Rumble, all the things. If you would be interested in being part of the Mirthquake community and I guess on the show, it is very easy. Head over to mirthquake.show for all the deets. And hopefully soon we'll be prying open your brain and throwing it out on the internet for everyone to see. So again, you two, thank you so very much. And I guess good night to all of you in the chat. Appreciate you all being here and being so active. It's always wonderful to